to Deep Sleep Stories. Thank you to everyone who's been listening. If these stories help you relax or fall asleep, a short review, comment, or sharing the podcast with someone who might benefit is a simple and meaningful way to support the show so that we may continue to offer it for free. Now, take a slow, gentle breath and let's begin tonight's story.
Welcome to Deep Sleep Stories, where the soft glow of gentle narration guides you toward peaceful rest. Tonight, you're invited to settle into a cozy space, releasing the cares of the day and letting the gentle tide of calm wash over you. As you listen, you might notice the weight of tension drift from your shoulders, leaving only the comfort of a welcoming pause. Breathe in deeply and sense how the air soothes your lungs, allowing you to exhale any lingering worries. Feel free to close your eyes if you'd like, or simply gaze off into the distance, letting your mind float on a tranquil current. In tonight's tale, you will venture into the Velvet Ember Woods, a place where twilight's gentle colors merge with the hush of ancient, whispering trees. With each breath, you can imagine the hush of those woods, the quiet rustle of leaves, and the glow of soft, ember-like luminescence peeking from behind the forest floor. You can allow this image to expand gently in your mind, coaxing you to let go of the day's demands. Slowly, with each passing moment, your body grows heavier, and yet your spirit feels light, as though a gentle breeze tugs at the corners of your consciousness, urging you toward restful dreams. Take one more deep breath, letting your rib cage expand fully before sighing out a long, slow exhale. You're safe here, cradled by the softness of the moment. Let the lull of comfort carry you forward for a little while longer. Now, as you settle more deeply into this comforting space, allow your mind's eye to drift. There is no hurry here. The day's responsibilities can wait until morning. In this moment, tranquility beckons, inviting you to drift in a sea of calm and safety. You might notice your eyelids growing heavier, or perhaps you feel an inviting warmth that stretches from your temples down through your limbs. Let this warmth continue its journey, relaxing every muscle from the crown of your head to the tips of your toes. If any thoughts flit by, like small errant gusts of wind, see them for a moment, then let them fade away. The story ahead will unfold naturally without effort, and you can simply allow yourself to be guided by the gentle stream of words. Far away from bustling towns and busy roads, there once lay a region embraced by the hush of twilight. It was said to be a magical place of gentle winds and softly lit hollows surrounded by tall, ancient trees. In that realm, visitors spoke in awed whispers about a forest known as the Velvet Ember Woods. Here, the air seemed perpetually tinged with the faintest glow, as though the sun had left behind a lingering memory of its warm rays. Even after nightfall, no matter the season, the light in the woods remained a cozy, burnished hue, reminiscent of a glowing ember nestled in velvet folds. Travelers who stumbled upon this forest found themselves softly enchanted by the way bark and leaf shimmered under starlight. The towering trunks, wrapped in moss, stood like wise guardians, silently watching over the woodland floor below. Each tree radiated gentle patience, inviting those who wandered beneath its branches to slow their steps and breathe more deeply. Even the smallest creatures felt at peace there. Crickets played their evening lullabies, their songs echoing off rocks and winding footpaths. Fireflies with subtle, glowing abdomens floated gracefully among the low ferns, illuminating hidden corners of the forest with mild, flickering pulses of warm light. Within the heart of the Velvet Ember Woods, a modest stream flowed, singing its own soothing tune of trickling water. Worn stones lined its sides, smoothed by countless years of gentle currents. Here the water remained calm, its surface reflecting the hint of an amber glow filtering through the canopy. Sometimes deer stopped to drink, dipping their heads low with elegant, languid movements as if savoring the tranquil air. Other times a fox might venture forth, stepping lightly across the mossy banks with barely a sound, as though it understood the serenity of this refuge and did not wish to disturb a single twig. It was in this forest that a gentle soul named Elinora walked in quiet wonder, seeking refuge from a world that often rushed past its own fleeting moments of beauty. Elinora had arrived one late afternoon, drawn by the stories and whispers of the forest's warm glow. She carried with her only a small rucksack, a journal to record her thoughts, and a simple lantern that cast a soft, golden beam, blending seamlessly with the natural radiance of the woods. Though she'd ventured there alone, the sense of solitude never felt lonely. The forest itself seemed to welcome her company, its rustling canopy offering a gentle chorus of hushes. In the fading light of dusk, Elinora stepped onto a narrow path that wound between the large, moss-clad trunks. She noticed how each footstep sunk into the soft loam of the earth, releasing a faint, woodsy aroma. A mild breeze passed through, carrying the scent of ferns, damp bark, and something subtly sweet, like honeysuckle hidden in the underbrush. As she walked, she felt layers of tension from her long journey lifting away, replaced by a soothing awareness of each breath she took. The silence of the woods was not empty, but filled with the gentle, constant lull of life, humming quietly at the edges of hearing. Up above, the canopy filtered what remained of the lingering sunlight, giving the air an otherworldly glow. The tips of leaves were brushed with a delicate golden hue, and the shadows between them softened into a comforting, diffuse twilight. Even though nighttime would soon arrive, Elinora sensed no urgency, for the forest felt entirely safe. Here, dusk was not a moment to hurry along. Instead, it was a gentle transition made for lingering gazes at the drifting lights of fireflies and for pausing to sense the hushed swell of calm that radiated through every branch. As Elinora continued along the path, she came upon a small clearing. The stream, which had quietly paralleled her route, now curved gracefully around a cluster of stones. They jutted from the water's edge like small seats, their surfaces softened by moss and time. Entranced by the music of the water, she set down her lantern and took a seat on one of those smooth rocks, allowing her feet to dangle just above the trickling current. She breathed in the scent of damp earth and felt the gentle flutter of a night breeze across her face. Fireflies glimmered closer, drifting around her ankles in faint circles before wandering onward. In that moment, she was neither hurried nor paused in discomfort. Instead, she found herself perfectly still, savoring the forest's gentle lull. As the evening sky deepened overhead, stars began to appear, one by one, twinkling behind the tallest branches, forming delicate patterns in the silent firmament. She let her mind wander, following the shapes of constellations she could glimpse through the interwoven canopy. There was such serenity in the slow, deliberate passage of time here, as though each second stretched out to cradle the senses in softness. Eventually, Elinora rose and continued deeper into the Velvet Ember Woods. The path guided her gently, turning this way and that through clusters of trees. The gentle glow of her lantern illuminated the curling ferns and fallen leaves at her feet. She noticed how the lantern's beam merged with the burnished light clinging to the bark of oak and birch. Occasionally, she paused to admire an especially lovely glow of moonlight filtering through a gap in the branches. Her heart felt a quiet thrill when she spotted a deer a few paces ahead, calmly browsing at the edge of the path. Its ears flicked in her direction, but it did not flee. Instead, it regarded her with soft, curious eyes, reflecting the faint golden luminescence. Elinora watched the delicate lift of its muzzle, noting how it sniffed the air gently before returning to its quiet grazing. The sight warmed her spirit. She felt welcomed, as if the forest recognized her as a peaceful presence. Just beyond a large cedar, whose trunk wore a cloak of thick, spongy moss, Elinora noticed the faint outline of a humble cabin. The structure seemed almost part of the wood itself, crafted from rough-hewn logs that glowed in the night's warm shadows. A stone chimney rose from its roof, releasing a fine curl of smoke into the starlit sky. Pale windows glowed from within, as if lit by a gentle candle or lamp. The cabin perched on a gentle slope overlooking the stream, embraced by the tall grass and ferns that swayed in the mild breeze. She approached the cabin's door, hesitating a moment before gently knocking. To her surprise, the wooden door gave way under the softest pressure, swinging open on well-worn hinges. The interior of the cabin revealed a single cozy room. Near the hearth was a small fire crackling with a contented hush, sending dancing shadows along the walls. Simple furnishings, a modest table, a rocking chair, and shelves lined with earthenware made the space feel like a long-lost sanctuary. The scent of warm wood smoke filled the air, mingling with the sweet aroma of whatever had once simmered in the blackened kettle over the embers. It seemed that no one was present, or if they were, they remained just out of sight. Elinora felt no fear, only a sense of gentle intrigue. Perhaps, she mused, this forest offered such refuges to travelers who arrived with open hearts, trusting them to find solace in its hidden corners. She placed her lantern on the small table, letting its glow join the flicker of the hearth. For a moment she listened. Apart from the soft crackle of firewood and the quiet hush of the breeze through the open window, all was still. Needing a moment of rest, Elinora sank into the rocking chair, letting it creak softly beneath her weight. She allowed her eyes to close, lulled by the gentle melody of the night. The drift of the world outside felt comforting, as if the forest itself was humming a lullaby through the rustling leaves and hushed waters. From time to time she opened her eyes to gaze at the dancing firelight on the wooden walls, the gentle flames swaying in a slow, rhythmic pulse that matched the forest's soft heartbeat. A short while later she rose and stepped back outside, drawn by a faint shimmer in the distance. The darkness of the forest seemed to twinkle with small, ember-like sparks. When she ventured a bit closer, following the gentle slope, she discovered a glade where mushrooms grew in a small ring, their caps coated in a pale, luminescent dust. Each mushroom gave off a subtle glow, reminiscent of the last flickering coals of an evening fire. The sight was mesmerizing, and Elinora felt like she was standing in a dream, the hush of the forest weaving a delicate tapestry of sounds around her, gentle rustles, quiet chirrups, and the sound of leaves brushing against one another in the mild breeze. Compelled by her wonder, she bent down to examine one of the glowing mushrooms. The luminescent dust sparkled faintly against her fingertips before winking out as though it recognized her gentle curiosity and offered a small greeting. This was a place of quiet marvels where the natural world held small pockets of magic, just enough to invite a sense of peace and awe. The glade was like a secret treasure, existing only for those patient enough to wander under the protective canopy. After taking in the sight, Elinora returned to the cabin, her mind and heart filled with the forest's gentle enchantment. She found a soft pallet in one corner of the room, no more than a simple bedroll made of thick, well-worn fabric, but it invited her to lie down. Before she drifted into sleep, she felt compelled to open her journal and write a few lines, capturing the forest's soft brilliance in words. Her notes were not merely observations, but gentle confessions of gratitude. The warmth of the cabin's glow, the hush of the night air, the glimmer of life around every corner, all reminded her that peace could be found when one allowed the mind to quiet and the heart to listen. In the gentle hours of the night, while embers smoldered in the hearth, Elinora settled into a deep, comforting slumber, and as she slept, dreams danced around her of floating fireflies and beckoning starlight. The forest watched over her, the branches swaying softly as though offering a lullaby. Even the old wooden beams of the cabin whispered in quiet creaks, rocking with the hush of the wind. Dawn came softly, its light weaving through the canopy, painting the cabin windows in rosy gold. Elinora woke to the sound of birds greeting the early morning, a series of lilting, tranquil calls that invited her to begin a new day. She stretched, feeling the restful weight of a night spent in peaceful surroundings. Her mind felt light, as though the forest itself had carried away any heaviness or worry. Outside, a soft mist clung to the ferns, each blade bejeweled with droplets, reflecting the morning glow. She stepped into the clearing and breathed deeply of the fresh morning air. The Velvet Ember Woods felt different now, bathed in daylight, where before it shimmered with ember-like hues. Now it glistened with dew, every plant tinted with pastel reflections of the rising sun. Yet the sense of warm welcome remained. A squirrel chattered lightly from a nearby branch, observing her with bright eyes, its bushy tail flicking back and forth. In the distance, the deer she had glimpsed the night before stood at the water's edge, sipping from the stream. The forest was alive with gentle murmurs, its magic persisting in a new light. Seeking to explore, Elinora wandered deeper into the woods, following the stream's playful winding. She noted how the water sparkled like tiny crystals in the morning sun, creating small rainbows on the surface as it passed over stones and pebbles. Each bend revealed new glimmers of life, an otter playing quietly along the banks, ducking and splashing as it groomed its sleek fur, a pair of wood doves cooing gently from the low branches, their feathers catching soft beams of light. It felt as though the forest itself guided her feet, taking her to particularly enchanting corners. Sometimes the path tapered into a clearing of soft grass and wild flowers. Other times, it led her through corridors of pines, their needles carpeting the ground in spongy silence, muffling every step. Occasionally, she would pause to simply listen. She realized that in this place, listening meant more than using her ears. It meant letting her heart connect with the forest, attuning herself to its rhythm of tranquil existence. When midday approached, she found a spot where a fallen log created a small bench by the stream. She sat there, letting the gentle warmth of the sun bathe her arms and face. With her journal in hand, she made small sketches. Nothing elaborate, just outlines of leaves, scattered pebbles, perhaps a sprig of wildflowers that grew near the water's edge. Each page held a memory of light, color, and the hush of calm that threaded itself through every scene. Time in the Velvet Ember Woods seemed to shift fluidly, free of the strict constraints that governed the busier outside world. Afternoon light drifted in softly, creating speckled patterns on the forest floor. As she meandered along, she came across a cluster of towering redwoods, their bark, like burnished copper in the luminous haze, soared skyward so high that their crowns seemed to fuse with drifting clouds. Gentle breezes high among the branches stirred the treetops, resulting in a low, distant hush that resonated in the air. Elinora felt a comforting smallness here, as though these ancient sentinels had witnessed centuries of dawns and sunsets, quietly gathering wisdom in their broad trunks and gently falling needles. Encouraged by curiosity, she ventured around the base of these majestic trees, sometimes running her hand across their grooved surfaces, feeling the ridges and valleys that told tales of the seasons gone by. She imagined them as friendly giants, kindly watching over any who sought solace beneath their boughs. The forest seemed to hum, a quiet melody in those afternoon hours, woven from sunlight and shade, from fluttering wings of passing birds, and from the distant chattering of small woodland creatures. Further along, she discovered another intriguing sight. A cluster of violet blossoms had sprouted around a mossy boulder. Each petal glowed with a subtle luminescence. Though the sun was high, their faint shimmer remained, reminiscent of the mushrooms she'd found the night before. She paused to admire them, noticing how the petals quivered, ever so slightly in the breeze. It was as though every living thing in this forest possessed a hint of secret magic, a soft glow within that found gentle expression in color, motion, or sound. As evening began its approach, she felt drawn back toward the cabin. The day had been long in its slow, comforting way, filled with endless small wonders that had eased her spirit and awakened her sense of childlike wonder. Upon arriving, she saw the chimney puffing lightly once more, as if the forest had kindled a fire in her absence. The cabin door stood ajar, inviting her into its cozy interior. The same warm glow welcomed her. The embers in the hearth rekindled to offer a gentle crackle. Elinora rinsed her face in a small basin by the window, enjoying the coolness of fresh water on her skin. Then she prepared a simple meal, using some ingredients she had packed: bread, a bit of cheese, and a handful of dried herbs steeped in hot water, creating a soothing herbal infusion. The rhythmic drips of the steaming liquid into her mug reminded her of the comforting sound of the forest stream. Outside shadows lengthened, and the golden twilight of the Velvet Ember Woods returned, caressing every leaf, branch, and blade of grass with warm luminescence. Once she finished her meal, she stepped onto a small porch attached to the cabin. The porch overlooked a patch of tall, feathery grasses, gently swaying in the amber twilight. Fireflies had begun their evening dance, glowing softly as they ascended from among the reeds, swirling lazily into the sky in a coordinated ballet of light. A hush fell over the woods, the hush that signals the world is quieting down, preparing for rest. She took a seat on a wooden bench, letting the gentle evening air brush across her cheeks. She observed how every breath brought the faint scent of pine and sweet grass, combined with the lingering warmth of the day. The horizon shimmered with a soft, rose gold hue, and the first stars peeped through the canopy overhead. Little by little the hush intensified, woven together by the trill of crickets, the gentle warble of a nightingale hidden in the higher branches, and the unseen but ever-present lullaby of the breeze. Seated there, immersed in the peaceful hush, she closed her eyes to soak in the forest's gentle lull. Thoughts of worry or haste seemed remote and distant, as though they'd never belonged to her at all. In their place, a gentle acceptance blossomed, a trust in the steady, nurturing rhythm of nightfall. Slowly, the hush deepened, and she felt sleep's quiet pull, a tender invitation to surrender to rest. Before returning to the cabin's interior, she wandered a short distance from the porch, noticing how a soft path meandered toward a grove of aspen trees. Their pale trunks glowed like polished ivory in the amber dusk, their round leaves quaking in the slightest breeze. Each leaf caught the warm twilight and flickered it back in tiny reflections. Here the forest's hush grew even more profound, creating a small sanctuary of quivering light and gentle whispering leaves. At the center of that grove was a small stone bench, shaped by time and covered with a thin layer of velvety moss. Elinora sat for a while, letting her thoughts drift, lulled by the gentle sway of aspen leaves. She saw how the shadows played in dappled patterns across the ground, reflecting the rippling dance of branches overhead. It was almost as if the forest sang a soft, silent lullaby, coaxing every living thing toward rest. A sense of gratitude welled up in her chest, filling her with warmth akin to a gentle ember. Night fully descended then, and the sky turned a deep cobalt, dotted with twinkling stars so numerous that they nearly created a wash of light behind the silhouettes of the tall trees. Elinora took in the vastness of that night sky, marveling at the silent beauty of each faint star. Eventually, a yawn reminded her that her body longed for rest. With a final, lingering glance at the breathtaking sky, she made her way back through the gently stirring aspens toward the welcoming glow of the cabin. Inside, the fire had burned down to the softest embers, casting tender flickers on the walls. She added a small log, coaxing the flames just enough so that they would continue to provide a gentle warmth through the night. Then she spread out her bedroll once more in the corner near the hearth. The floor, made of smooth wooden planks, still radiated a comfortable warmth from the fire. She lay down, resting her head on a cushion of soft fabric, and felt the day's gentle hush settle over her. A sense of well-being blossomed in her chest. She reflected on the radiant hush of the Velvet Ember Woods, the deer's inquisitive gaze, the shy flicker of foxes in the underbrush, the dim glow of mushrooms and blossoms, and the comforting glow of the cabin's hearth. Here in this timeless forest realm, she felt connected to herself, to the quiet wonders that surrounded her, and to the gentle truth that tranquility could be found in any moment of stillness. As the fire crackled softly, she sank deeper into that drowsy lull. her thoughts drifting. She felt the warm brush of slumber at the edges of her mind, carrying her towards sweet rest. The last sensations she recalled were of crickets chirping, the wind stirring in the pines, and a soft hush that seemed to cradle the entire forest in gentle arms. Night wore on in peaceful silence, the embers glowing softly, the stars shimmering high above the canopy. The forest stood watch under that starry dome, still and ever present, as though honoring the rest of those who had come seeking solace. Dreams visited Elinora with visions of floating lights and drifting seeds, carried through the forest on gentle breezes. Even the slumbering cabin creaked in gentle, content acknowledgement. So, the Velvet Ember Woods held its quiet vigil, its hushed glow, beckoning to any soul who might wander under its sheltering branches, urging them to pause and breathe in the calm. Through the silent shift from midnight to the first hint of morning, the forest thrummed with an unseen comforting pulse, a lull that resonated through every leaf and branch. If one could pass by and peek in the small cabin window at that hour, they would see the faint outline of Elinora's sleeping form. Her face wore a peaceful expression, touched by the dim glow of the hearth. The hush of the forest held her gently, as it did every creature within its bounds. Time seemed to pause in that silent embrace, offering a sweet, unspoken promise of rest. Soon, a tender pre-dawn light shimmered, creeping over the horizon. A few birds awakened, uttering tentative calls as if testing the hush. Branches swayed in a fleeting gust, carrying away the starlight and making room for the soft blush of a new day. Still the hush remained, quieter than a whispered secret, allowing every living thing to savor those final, drifting moments of night's soothing calm. Eventually, as the first beams of dawn kissed the treetops, Elinora stirred, drifting back to the gentle reality of the cabin. Yet she would awake refreshed, carrying within her that lingering peace from a night spent in the forest's care. She would recall how the Ember Woods revealed a world of subtle magic, small wonders that glowed by night and shimmered by day, and how they offered a lullaby to the soul when one was ready to listen. And so she would continue her journey, weaving the forest's calm into every step, every breath, and every thought of gratitude. Perhaps she would leave the cabin as she found it, warm, inviting, a hidden refuge for the next wanderer who sought comfort. The Velvet Ember Woods would remain as ever quietly waiting, its canopy swaying in the breezes that held no hurry, keeping time with the slow hush of nature's gentle breath. Now, in the soft hush of our own moment, we rest in the afterglow of that story, breathing in and out, slowly and gently. You might feel the whisper of the Velvet Ember Woods wrapping you in a kind embrace. There is no effort here, only the comforting drift into deeper, gentler waves of relaxation. Imagine the soft luminescence of those mushrooms, the flicker of fireflies, and the warm glow of the cabin's hearth. Let that peaceful imagery cradle you as you lie still. The pace of your thoughts eases, settling like leaves drifting onto a tranquil forest floor. Let them rest quietly, allowing the hush to deepen with each soft exhale. Your body sinks more fully into the surface beneath you, supported by a gentle wave of calm that extends from your head to your toes. If you notice any remaining tension, direct your awareness there. Breathe in and then exhale slowly, picturing it float away like a faint autumn leaf carried off by a breeze. In this lull, you are safe, you are peaceful, and your mind can finally surrender to sweet rest. Let the twilight glow of the Velvet Ember Woods fill your imagination with warmth, guiding you further and further into serenity. With each slow breath, you descend deeper into quiet relaxation. Nothing is required of you now. No worries, no to-do lists, no pressing tasks. All that matters is the gentle hush of this moment, a cradle of soft, sleepy comfort. When you are ready, allow your eyelids to grow heavy, like a gentle curtain drawing closed against the day. If your mind wanders, that's fine. Simply picture the soft glow of embers, the shimmer of starlight, and let each detail lull you back into calm. This is your time to drift, free from the demands of the outside world. The hush of the woods and the warmth of your breath will guide you deeper, inviting you to rest in quiet harmony. So sink into that soothing darkness, letting the story's embers glow like a gentle nightlight in your thoughts, and float on the quiet waves of this moment. Let the hush unfold around you until all that remains is the lulling promise of rest. Good night, dear traveler. Sleep well.